All right, so learning goal today is that we will be able to solve one-step inequalities involving multiplication and division. Okay, so when we focused, the last time we were focused on just adding and subtracting. All right, whoops. Okay, so let's look at these. Thank you, Maria. All right, this is exactly the same as the ones that we worked previously with equations, except there's going to be one little thing that happens here. All right, so we're going to start with drawing our line. This says a over 3 is greater than 5. That's a divided by 3, so the opposite of division is multiplication. So we're going to multiply both sides by 3. And remember, I'm going to multiply in the numerator, not denominator, because that allows the 3's to cancel. All I'm left with here is an a greater than 5 times 3 is 15. So you truly have to understand what this means in order to go forward with this. So what is a number greater than 15? 16, 17, 18, and forever, okay? I'm going to use 18. You're going to see why here in a second. So everyone agrees that 18 would be a solution because it's bigger than 15. Okay, so if I go in and check this, and I put an 18 right here, this is 18 over 3 is greater than 5. Is this true? Because 18 over 3 is 6, and 6 is greater than 5. Does that make sense? So nothing wrong with this one. This one works. We did it correctly. Here is our solution. Okay? We're going to do that each time. Something's going to happen here in a minute. All right, let's look at the next one. How do I solve 28 is greater than or equal to 4y? Catherine? Good. Divide each side by 4. So I divide this side by 4. And this side by 4. I keep my greater than or equal to sign. Here's my y. 28 divided by 4 is 7. That's exactly what my third grader was working on last night and this morning, which is division of 4 test today. Okay? All right. So this is saying that 7 is greater than or equal to y. So what are some numbers that y could be? It could be 7. What else? Eats the bigger number. Eats the bigger one.
Oh, 6.
6. 5, 4. Okay. So if 6 could be a solution, let's plug that in. So 28 is greater than or equal to 4 times 6. 4 times 6 is 24, right? Okay, so is this true? 28 is greater than 24. So everything's working fine still. All right, so that is our solution. All of the numbers smaller than 7 will work. All right, so let's look at this next one. How do I solve the next one? Kendall? By negative 5, right? Because we want the negative to go away also. Okay, so I start this off the same, and I'm going to multiply by negative 5, multiply by negative 5. All right, so let's see what happens here. The 5's cancel. I'm left with an x less than 4 times negative 5 is negative 20. Everybody understand what I've done so far? Okay, so now this is saying x is less than negative 20. So remember, it's eating the biggest number. So give me a number on the other side that would work. Okay, negative 21, negative 22. I'm going to pick one divisible by 5. Would you guys agree that negative 25 is greater? Or I'm sorry, is less than that. Yeah. Is that true? Okay, so let's plug that in and see what happens. All right, so I put in negative 25. So what is negative 25 divided by negative 5? See? Now what's a negative divided by a negative? Positive 5. Is this true? No. Do you see what I just did? Because a negative over a negative gives me a positive. And now all of a sudden that is not true. Because of the negative over negative rule, okay, you have to have a new rule for inequalities. And the rule is anytime you multiply or divide by a negative number, your inequality sign has to reverse. That's huge. Okay, so here's what we're going to do. So instead of this, we're going to reverse it. Is that true now? Yes. This only happens when you're multiplying or dividing by a negative number. And we're going to do this a couple more times. But if you look on the next slide, I've put it in here for you. that when multiplying or dividing by a negative number, you have to reverse the inequality sign. And I put an example in here for you so that you can see it. That's going to happen for the rest of your life from here on out. Multiply and divide by a negative number. Okay? All right, so let's go back and did other stuff, and let's keep working on these. So let's look at number 4. Okay, what do I have to do to solve this one? Divide by -3. And we just said divide by a negative number. So what's going to happen? You're going to flip your sign. Okay? So divide by -3. Divide by -3. So you're going to go ahead and reverse the inequality symbol. And then we're going to work it like normal. 27 divided by -3 is -9. And now when I put in a number, it should work. So it's going to eat the bigger number. So this is A is greater than -9. What's a number greater than -9? -8. 0. Oh, 0 would be a really easy one to use here. Okay, so everyone agrees 0 is bigger. All right, so let's plug that in. Let's plug it right into this. So -3 times 0, is that less than 27? Yeah, because what's -3 times 0? 0. Is that true? Yes. So do you see how that's why you have to reverse it? Because a negative and a negative makes it a positive. Messes everything up. All right, let's look at number 5. What do I need to do there? Divide by 6. Okay. Do I reverse the inequality symbol? What did I just divide by? Did I divide by -6? No, I divided by a +6. So that doesn't reverse it. It's not if there's a negative in the problem. It's only if you're dividing by a negative. I divided by a positive, so you do not switch it. It stays the same. Okay, and I put the P over here. -42 divided by 6 is -7, right? And I don't reverse it. Only if I divide by a negative or multiply by a negative does it get reversed. All right, so we can go past this slide because this is the one I already showed you. This has your rule on it in case you need to look back at it. All right, let's see if we can write the equation. And I started off by giving you answer choices because I think it's easier to see the answer choices when you first start on this. A type of fish food for your aquarium costs $3 each. You can spend at most $15. Let F be the number of fish you can buy. Which inequality models the problem? Okay, so F stands for how many fish, and $3 is the type of fish. You only have 15. Okay, so would it be A, B, C, or D? Can you knock some of them off? Which ones can you knock off? A and C. Why can you knock off A and C? Because they're adding, you wouldn't say, I can buy this many fish and then add $3. That wouldn't make any sense. Because the cost is $3 per fish. So those don't make sense at all. Not at all. Okay? So now you've got it narrowed down to C and D. And it says you can spend at most $15, which means your parents gave you 15. That's all you have. What do you think, Cassie?
I think that it can be 15 or it can be lower than 15.
Exactly. It can be 15 or smaller than 15, but you don't have any more than $15. So 15 is the maximum you have. This means you want to spend a minimum of 15, but you only showed up with 15. That's all you have. So it has to be letter B. Okay? All right. So now we can solve it. How do we solve this one? How do we solve this one? Okay. You're going to divide. And divide by?
3.
Divide by 3. Am I going to switch my inequality?
No.
How come? Not dividing by a negative. Okay? So what does this mean right here? What does that mean? What did I just find? F is less than or equal to 5. What does this mean in terms of this situation?
You bought 5 fish.
I did buy 5 fish. Think about what it means. See? What does it mean? Emma? Right. So I could go in and buy 0 fish, 1 fish, 2 fish. I can't buy a half fish. That would be a dead fish. 4 fish or 5 fish. I feel like I'm talking about Dr. Seuss. Okay? I can buy any of that amount and still be within my $15. That's what it means. Okay? All right, let's look at another one. All right, an elephant. An elephant drinks at least 70 liters of water a day. You know how much that would be? Do you know how much a liter is? Liters, you know, like a big thing of water is a liter. That's a lot. Like a big water bottle is a liter. Each trunkful holds 4 liters of water. How many trunkfuls of water does the elephant drink a day? All right. What have I always told you to start with? To start with the total. Do we know a total? 70 liters. Okay. All right. So we're going to start with that. Now, what I do, if I don't know what I'm doing, is I put in both symbols and I figure out which one makes sense. Okay? So, he drinks at least 70. What would that mean? So he can drink more. Do you hear what she just said? She was, that's the least, so he can drink more. So that automatically tells you that it should be this one. Does that make sense? Because he can drink more than that. So this has to be bigger. Okay, then I decide whether I need the line underneath it. Okay, so what do you think? Do I put the line under it?
Yeah.
Kendall. He can drink exactly 70. Good. Okay, what's the other side going to look like then? What's the other side going to look like, Lily? A variable times 4. So let's just put 4e for Mr. Elephant here. And there we go. There's our equation. How would I solve that? Divide by 4. Would I switch to the inequality symbol? Exactly. I'm dividing by a positive 4, not a negative. So I would not have to switch my sign. All right, last slide. I want you guys to work through these 3 on there, and then we're going to go through and check them. I went ahead and put the graph because I want you to graph them also. All right, so the first one, you would need to show that you're dividing both sides by -3. Okay, so I divide by -3, divide by -3. What has to happen? You have to reverse your inequality because you divided by a -3. And then 3 divided by -3 is a -1. Open or close circle? Open, because it doesn't include -1. Remember, this symbol and this symbol get open. If I add the equal, that's when you fill it in because that means it equals that number. So I'm going to put an open circle on -1. And then this says everything smaller. Here it's eating the -1, so that's got to be the biggest. So this has to represent all numbers that are smaller, which would be all of these negatives going that direction. Okay? Make sure you raise your hand and ask a question if you don't understand something. All right, next one, that's k divided by 4. So I want to multiply both sides by 4. So multiply by 4, multiply by 4. These cancel. I'm left with k is less than -16. I do not switch my inequality symbol because I multiplied by a positive 4. Okay? All right, so now from here, I'm going to put an open circle on -16. Again, this is eating -16, which means it has to be the biggest. So this has to represent all the numbers smaller than -16. So all of these negatives would be smaller than -16. Okay? All right, next one. Next one, I'm going to rewrite this one. So 32 is greater than or equal to -16p. So I'm going to divide both sides by a -16. What has to happen? Yes, flip-a-roo your sign because we just divided by a -16. So 16 goes into 32. Let's see, -2 times. I'm going to reverse my inequality symbol, and then I get p. All right, this time I want a solid circle because it says it can equal -2. So I'm going to put in a solid circle here. And then, again, it's going to eat bigger numbers, so it's eating the p. So it wants everything bigger than -2. So chomp, 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 it wants all of these on for infinity, that way. Okay, questions on any of those that I can help you with? Is that making sense? Micaiah? How did I get -2? Because it was a positive 32 divided by -16. And one negative is always going to make